Owerri was not always a city haunted by whispers. Back then, it was a lively place, buses honking, market women shouting prices, boys hawking pure water, mothers calling children indoors at evening time. Life moved at its own chaotic and beautiful Nigerian pace. In the late 1990s, Nigeria was a country of contradictions. The economy was harsh, jobs were scarce, universities were crowded, inflation gnawed at whatever little money families could save. And yet, amidst all this struggle, some people seemed to rise from nowhere. Overnight, they had cars, houses, influence. People noticed. But no one dared ask how. Rumors began softly, almost like a wind passing through the city streets. No ritual, them chop blood, them pay price for money. The words were whispered, usually behind closed doors. Mothers warned children not to wander too far. Fathers looked the other way when they saw boys hanging around certain compounds. People laughed it off, at least publicly, because, in Nigeria, rich men are not questioned. But fear has a way of growing, even when denied. Children began to disappear. Not all at once. Not in large groups. Just enough to make the city feel off. A boy sent to buy matches. Another went to deliver food. A third vanished after a visit to a friend's house. At first, families clutched at hope. Maybe he ran away. Maybe he got lost. Maybe someone took him in for a day. But months went by. And the whispers persisted. Then came Otokoto Hotel. It wasn't huge, not like the fancy hotels in Lagos, but it had class. Sleek, polished floors. Large wooden doors. Expensive cars parked outside. Music that could be heard softly even from the street. And behind it all was the man everyone knew as Chief Evans Okafor. He wasn't flashy. He didn't wave his money in people's faces. He smiled politely. Dressed well. Moved calmly. He had titles, influence, and the kind of presence that made people stop and nod. To the untrained eye, Chief Okafor was a successful man, a self-made entrepreneur. But to those who whispered, he was something else entirely. They said boys went in and never came out. They said strange visitors arrived at night. They said wealth had a price, and it was paid in blood. Most laughed. It was easier than thinking otherwise. But the stories didn't die. They grew, feeding off silence and fear. Then one day, it got personal. Ikochukwu Okoye, a small boy known to everyone in his neighborhood, disappeared. He wasn't special. He didn't stand out. He was just a child, running errands like Nigerian kids do every day. But he didn't come back. His parents searched the streets. Called friends. Asked neighbors. Went to the police. And then came the truth that would shake Owerri to its core. Ikochukwu's body was found. Mutilated. Not robbed. Not accidental. Something ritual. The whispers were no longer whispers. Otokoto Hotel was no longer just a hotel. It was the epicenter of horror. Crowds gathered outside the compound when the police acted. Mothers wept openly. Fathers stared in silence. Children were pulled close to their mothers, the innocence of their eyes already shaken. Chief Evans Okafor was arrested. The city held its breath. People wanted justice, but Nigeria had a complicated relationship with justice. Legal systems moved slowly. Influential men had friends in high places. And still, everyone wanted immediate action. Before the courts could decide, the people decided for themselves. Otokoto Hotel was set on fire. Flames devoured the building that once represented wealth and respect. People watched, not in celebration, but in collective relief and terror. Because they understood a terrible truth. Monsters hide behind titles. Power is a shield. And sometimes, society allows evil to flourish in plain sight. The investigation didn't stop with the fire. Officers revisited old files, dusting off missing children reports from previous years. Patterns emerged: poor children, boys mostly, disappearing near compounds with influential men. Evidence of ritual practices surfaced: unusual items, rooms no one was allowed to enter, visitors at odd hours, and accounts from staff who were too afraid to speak up until finally questioned. Otokoto was not an isolated incident. It exposed something much larger. In Nigeria, belief in ritual wealth is not new. It has existed for generations, whispered in villages, feared in cities. But Otokoto brought it into modern reality. It wasn't folklore anymore. It wasn't superstition. It was fact. Parents, journalists, activists, and ordinary citizens were forced to confront an uncomfortable reality that greed, desperation, and belief could combine to destroy lives in the most brutal ways imaginable. Families of victims were left with grief that could not be measured. Mothers cried for children they could no longer see. Fathers wrestled with guilt they could not explain. Siblings grew up with an empty space where a brother once lived. Justice was slow, public outrage intense, but the psychological scars lasted. Otokoto became a symbol, a warning, a scar that Nigeria could never forget. It forced conversations about wealth, influence, and the moral cost of desperation. It forced communities to watch more carefully, parents to protect more fiercely, and society to question more boldly. Even decades later, the name Otokoto carries a chill in the hearts of Nigerians. It is remembered as more than a crime story, it is a lesson. A reminder. A shadow over the city that will not fade. After the fire consumed Otokoto Hotel, Owerri was never the same. Flames had reduced the building to ash, but the heat lingered in the streets, in homes, in conversations whispered behind closed doors. Mothers no longer let their children roam freely. Fathers glanced nervously at strangers on the road. Boys whispered to each other, fearing errands that once felt safe. For the city, the horror had finally come into focus. The police, pushed by outrage, finally took the investigation seriously. Old reports of missing children were dug up from dusty archives. Each name was carefully cross-referenced. Patterns began to emerge: poor boys, disappearing near influential locations, often in the late afternoon or evening. Witnesses began to speak, slowly, cautiously. Some recalled boys entering Otokoto Hotel on errands or with friends and never coming back. Some spoke of strange visitors arriving at odd hours. Some admitted they had seen Chief Evans Okafor performing rituals, though fear had kept them silent for years. In Nigeria, fear is a language spoken in every home. It silences mouths. It bends knees. It protects the powerful. The more people spoke, the darker the picture became. Otokoto was not just a hotel, it was a hub of calculated evil. Each disappearance, each story, added layers to a nightmare the city had long refused to acknowledge. Investigators recovered items associated with traditional rituals, herbs, objects carved with symbols, and implements that hinted at human sacrifice. Evidence suggested that these acts were deliberate, ritualistic, and designed to extract wealth through blood. The revelations shocked not just Owerri but the entire country. Newspapers ran front-page headlines. Otokoto Hotel, wealth bought with blood. Owerri's dark secret, boys disappear, wealth emerges. Chief Okafor arrested, the ritual killing that shook Nigeria. The media coverage amplified public anger. Nigerians across the country followed every development. People debated in markets, buses, offices, and homes. Churches and mosques addressed it in sermons. Community leaders questioned their own communities. But amidst the uproar, there were also silences. Neighbors who suspected something for years stayed quiet until it was undeniable. Families who had lost children found themselves among many others, a collective grief too large for words. And as investigations deepened, new details emerged. Some children were found alive, hidden or traumatized, having witnessed unspeakable acts. Others were never recovered. Some families discovered that their loved ones had been forced into ceremonies they could never forget. The psychological toll was immense. Mothers would weep uncontrollably, fathers would drink silently into the night, siblings would carry guilt for surviving while others did not. Otokoto Hotel, once a symbol of wealth and prestige, became a cautionary tale. Streets echoed with warnings. No place is safe. Watch where your children go. Greed can destroy innocence. power can hide evil. Criminologists and sociologists later analyzed the Otokoto case in depth. They explained how ritual crimes flourish where poverty, desperation, and belief in supernatural shortcuts intersect. They described how people willing to believe in ritual wealth may be drawn into schemes that exploit them or harm others. They studied the psychological impact on the community, noting widespread trauma and distrust. For Owerri, life continued, but under a shadow. Parents kept children close. Teachers became vigilant. Community members were hyper-aware of strangers. And the city, once vibrant and carefree, was now cautious, watching, always remembering. The story of Otokoto also highlighted how difficult it is to confront evil when it hides behind influence. Chief Evans Okofor had titles. He had respect. He had connections. He had wealth. And for years, these shields allowed him to act with impunity. It was only the combination of courage, tragedy, and public outrage that finally brought his crimes to light. Even then, the aftermath was complicated. Investigators faced threats. Witnesses feared retaliation. And families continued to grieve silently, often with no closure. Yet, in the darkness, a lesson emerged, one that would ripple across Nigeria. Evil can be hidden in plain sight, but truth has a way of surfacing. Fear may silence a community, but collective courage can shatter it. And sometimes, justice comes not from courts alone, but from a society refusing to look away. Owerri, scarred but resilient, carried the memory of Otokoto like a wound that refused to heal, but also as a reminder. A reminder that in Nigeria, the streets, the markets, the schools, and the homes all have stories. Stories of triumph, struggle, and, sometimes, horror. And stories like Otokoto demand to be told.